2 and 1. Yo, basketball fans, what's up, man? Appreciate you guys for locking in with me. I know this is kind of a little bit different this time around. You're seeing a little bit of a different background and all that good stuff, but nonetheless, of course, that means I'm on the road. But as you guys know, work still got to be done. You are now locked and loaded into the what I like to call the best, the most entertaining, the most informational, and the most educational basketball content on the planet in the form of a podcast. That's right, Tate's Take, hashtag where basketball lives. Obviously, you guys know, as I'm always preaching and can never say enough, to make sure you subscribe to Tate's Take, the podcast. For those of you who've already done so, I appreciate you for doing so. And make sure that you go and subscribe to, as we are streaming live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Any and everywhere you can find your favorite podcast is where you can find this one: iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Red Circle, Stitcher. Again, any and everywhere. And I had the opportunity to go and work a game last night. I didn't know it was going to be such short timing, which I'm blessed and overly thankful and grateful for, having the opportunity to be able to cover a basketball game again, as I checked out Notre Dame, who was visiting on the road at Michigan State. College basketball is on and popping again. So with that being said, I know I mentioned to some people that we're going to have a very special guest on today, and I've even got a little story that I want to share with this dude, which I don't even think he really even remembers probably, but I want to make sure that I throw that out there too. A former guard, without further ado. And you guys just bear with me as I'm kind of working through a couple kinks here. As we have my dude coming up. Here we go. Let's see here. Let's make sure that we getting him all straightened around and getting him good and ready to go to join us. If I can find him. Let's see where my boy went, man. I'm trying to work through this whole thing on the phone. I know that might look kind of bad or sound kind of bad, but I'm trying to get him straightened around. There we go. Perfect timing. I think I got him. There we go. The homie. I was trying to figure this whole thing out, bro. It's been bro. I don't get a chance to do this like on the road outside of like my laptop and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit new. Like I said, the background look a little bit different. You can see like perfect. I got the the smoke alarm over there. But Tory, I promise you, bro, the smoke alarm ain't gonna go. In every black household, everybody
gotta have
needs a smoke alarm, bro.
you crazy, man. That's so true though.
Man, let me make sure I give the proper introduction, man. Of course, we're in the locker room right now. Tory Jackson, a former guard for Notre Dame from 2006 to 2010. And I want to make sure that I include that he is a Hall of Famer in his county. He's out there out of Saginaw, Michigan. Follow him on all social media platforms, especially on Twitter and specifically at ToryJ23. That is at ToryJ23. Yo, what's popping, cuz?
Nothing much, man. Good to be here, man. Good to be here.
Man, I'm so happy that you had a chance to join me. I told the folks I always got a funny little weird kind of quirky little story for people on as guests. And I don't even think you remember this. So I'm originally from Lansing.
Okay.
And so I went to Walter French Academy.
Okay.
I'm not mistaken, you were a sophomore at BV when I was a senior and we played. And all I kept hearing about, best point guard in the state, best point guard in his class in the state, and so on and so forth. And I'm known as the best defender. And we ain't gonna get into all the work that you put in, you know. We're not gonna do that on this program. But I like to think I held my own. I know for a fact that you held yours. The important thing, man, is that I'm just really happy to have you on here talking about some of what we saw last night.
Yeah, man, that's an honor, man. I miss my playing days. Them high school days was the best, man. But by far my best experience and the most fun I had playing this game was when I was at Notre Dame, for sure. So I'm honored to have you here, to be here with you guys talking about this, for sure.
Man, it's crazy. I'm gonna leave you with this little part as far as the high school tip. When we had you guys on our schedule, and we're just like a little academy school. I think we were like B at that time.
Yeah.
We were like a high school. We were like K through 12. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We were just this little school. I was even surprised I even wanted to play us because I think y'all was Class B at the time. But
Yeah. Class C. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's crazy because it's like I seen y'all rolling in and y'all had these big dudes. I mean, we was just
Yeah, well, you were big.
we was just lucky to be playing whoever was gonna be willing to put us on their side.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I found out we had BB and they came in with some big boys. I felt super.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I already wrote out the accolades in regard
Yeah.
where you were ranked in the state and so forth. But I
Yeah.
felt bad for our bigs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because our big, like translation, our bigs was like low major bigs in
Yeah.
comparison to
Yeah.
college basketball standpoint.
Yeah.
Form rather, like our tallest player was probably about 6'4", maybe 6'3",
Yeah.
and y'all was rolling like 6'8".
Hey, yeah, I'm about to say it was 6'8", 6'9".
Beefy dude, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so beefy.
Yeah.
So that's
Man.
a funny little story, man.
Yeah. That's
What we
crazy.
did say, what we did see on last night was the number 13 team in the country, Michigan State, defeated Notre Dame, fighting Irish 80-70. Prentice Hub led Notre Dame with 23.6 rebounds. Aaron Henry leading Michigan State with 14 points and 8 rebounds. Tory, it's only the second game of the season, bro.
Yeah.
A lot of these teams and whatnot, some of them their first game. What are some of your takeaways, whether it be from Notre Dame, whether it be from Michigan State, but specifically from Notre Dame? What did you take away from what you saw on last night? Because you guys have clearly been
Yeah.
beefing the non-schedule
Man.
part up quite a bit.
Yeah, man, that's something different for sure. Stacking up that front end schedule. Usually we kind of take it slow before we ease into some bigger games, some like early tournament games, mile wins, things of that nature. But he beefed it up early on this year, which was good. We gives us a chance to kind of, if we take care of our business early on, steal a couple wins here on the road, some at home. If we steal some of those wins, we can kind of give ourselves some room, some wiggle room in the ACC. So I'm glad he padded that. And seeing them yesterday for the first game, I was impressed. We only scored 70 points, and it's tough to play against. Michigan State's always disciplined, regardless. Early on, whatnot. Later on, they're even better. But they're always disciplined. Coach Izzo preaches defense, which leads to his offense, his transition offense, and that was the difference for us. We're normally top 5, top 10 as far as assist to turnover ratio every year. So at Notre Dame, we cherish the ball. We treat that like gold. And our point guards are huge with that. And Prentice, he struggled a little bit as far as turnover wise, but I love his demeanor. I love his killer mentality. And coach always talks about on to the next play. And Prentice was he led by example with that. He made some mistakes here and there, but you didn't see him put his head down. They kept fighting. What killed us early on, and something that we'll get better at, was that huge run to end the first half. And it was led by Rocket Watts and Aaron. Aaron was huge for Michigan State yesterday. So, but I was impressed with both teams. Michigan State's they do a really good job in transition. Their transition sets are better than anybody half court sets. So, watching them play and push the tempo, defend, I knew they were going to have the advantage with the size, and they took advantage of it. Bingham came in, huge blocks. Aaron had about 3 or 4 blocks himself. So I was impressed, knowing what we were going up against on the road, regardless if fans were there or not. I knew what we were going to go up against, and we kept fighting. We were down after that huge run. Those guys never let up. So to get it within 10, to keep fighting, I'm very impressed with both teams.
It was a little bit different in there trying to cover the game, man, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
It was just weird. Like
yeah,
complaining nonetheless, but it did
yeah,
have a bit of a different feeling. And you said a mouthful, and obviously, one of the things that you kind of alluded to was that run that Michigan State went
yeah,
on. which was a 26-0 run.
Yeah, yeah.
Zip to end the first half and then
Eight,
open
nine.
half with a 9-0. And me and
Yeah.
you back and forth during the game. And it was,
Man.
I know, and I told you in one of those messages, I'll give the people a little bit of an insight. I said, listen, yeah, I'm a Michigan State dude and this and that, but I'm very
Yeah.
like I love Prentice Hub.
I
Like his
love him, man.
personality,
Yeah.
down and shooting the rock with confidence.
Confident. Yeah.
Other end of the floor. I mean,
Yeah.
a leader, a vocal leader, an emotional leader,
Yeah.
so many different things. And to be honest with you, that's not something that I think Michigan State even
Man.
has.
No. No.
Yeah, like it's like even though I don't really believe that Cassius Winston was exactly that. I mean, he
Yeah.
did it in a different way. You know,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
Michigan State point guards that stay all 4 years and they're like
Yeah.
barking signals and telling guys
Yeah.
go. They're the traffic director or whatever.
Knowing everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Cassius did that, but he did it differently. He led more
Definitely.
locker room. He's a little bit more on the quieter side or conservative side a
Yeah.
little bit. But I think that that's something that obviously Prentice Hub really, excels at.
Yeah. It
And
does well.
point shooters around the perimeter too. Like that's
Yeah.
what I think was hurting Michigan State at
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
And I listened in the post game press conference rather to Tom Izzo and just talking about how he didn't particularly love the way that they closed the game out because they blew like
Mhm.
a point lead and only won
Yeah.
by. But it's still a very good program. Like, dude, I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
the real. I was talking to some buddies of mine before the game, and they was talking about placing some bets. And they're like, dude, you know Michigan State like the back of your hand better than anybody. How
Yeah.
comfortable do you feel with Michigan State having being or Notre Dame being 10 point underdogs or whatever? Don't take it. I don't
Don't take.
because you haven't really seen in college basketball so far in the last, this past week since
Yeah.
like you haven't really seen that many like dominant matchups. Like Notre
No.
Dame is still arguably inarguably the most sometimes to me underappreciated, definitely Mike
Yeah.
Brett,
Yeah.
underappreciated program, underappreciated coach, and always seem to get more with less. And that just kind of reminds me, Tom Izzo, what exactly about Notre Dame? Why is it like that? Like, why does it seem like they sometimes either get disrespect? They never come out with like all these crazy athletes and this and that
No.
way to win games. You played there. Why is that?
Coach Bray is a player's coach. As a player, I'm willing to go to war for a coach who's going to go to war for me. He shows it by example. Not only does he talk about it, but he shows it by example. In practice, he makes everything easier for me in practice. I started as a freshman. After a few games, one of our guards ended up getting suspended. I was thrown in the fire right away. And Coach Bray does a good job just making things easier for his players. It was easy to kind of slow things down. Once he sat down, we broke down film. But even in press game conferences and things of that nature, when I had a terrible game leading up to the Big East conference, we had one more regular season or non-conference game before I actually got into our conference versus Louisville. That game before that conference game, I was struggling. I was awful, turning the ball over here and there. No backup point guard at that point. I was a backup point guard, but thrown in the fire at that point. So people were wondering if they were going to do things by committee. And the first thing Coach Bray said, no, he's going to be fine. That's my starting point guard. I'm talking about. He made it easy. He made it seem like he's the one that turned the ball over and not me. So it made when I saw him doing that and taking up for me, I was like, sure, I'll do whatever. I'll do whatever it takes to make sure I show him that I appreciate him for going to war for me. And that's what all his players do. He finds the right guys. He go after those top 25 guys, top 50 guys, top 100 guys. But those that commit to him, they understand coming in. We may have some that may be one and done, two and a couple years or whatnot. But we get those kind of players like you talk about with Cassius, those 4-year guys. They have talent to go to the NBA. We had Demetrius, we had Jaren Grant, Pat Connaughton just signed another contract extension. But Connaughton and Jaren Grant were both 4-year guards. Demetrius was a 3-year guard at that time. So those guys that come in, they know coming in, Coach Bray gets the guys that fits his system, that loves to play unselfish basketball, that loves to run a gun. His guards they have a field day just destroying teams because I can pick my poison. I got shooters on the wing, so all I got to do is draw. It's opening up a lane for me. So all he's telling me to do is just handle your business. He gives you the keys, and you just do whatever you want to do with it. It's like your parents give you the key when you're in high school. For the first time, you drive, and you got your boys with you. You don't know where you're going, but you're having fun with it. So and that's how just hype. So and that's how it is. Coach Bray does that. He gives you that freedom. You make mistakes, so what? It's always on to the next play, and that's what Prentice is. That's what he is. He made some mistakes yesterday, but he had 23 and 6, couple assists, some huge stops defensively. He was destroying their starting point guard. I knew Foster was going to have a hard time. I think the game kind of changed a little bit when Rocket came in because Rocket is more of a scoring point guard, and that made Prentice had to defend and distribute and try to score and try to do a lot more than what he had to in the beginning. Foster trying to defend those guys, he was finding shooters. He was doing whatever. He was going to pick them apart, and that's what was happening. We were hitting shots. They turned it up a little bit, and we just weren't ready for that. So I think we'll bounce back for sure. But I'm excited. Love what I saw yesterday.
And please forgive me. I know that this is my job, and for some reason, I kind of went over my bald head.
Yeah.
Easily. I'm not sure what the deal is, and I'm not sure how much I saw out of Cormac Ryan yesterday.
Yeah, he struggled, but this is his first time with us. He had to sit out all last year. Practice is totally different. Yep, totally. Practice is totally different from a live game. And in practice, he's doing well. He's going to make shots. He's going to be huge for us down the stretch throughout the rest of the year. Nate's going to be great for us. Leshevsky, he had a decent game last night, 12 points, 9 rebounds. What we do need more out of was Durham. Defensively, we need more out of him. And then, we'll get, I think, like I said, with Cormac Ryan, I think we'll get something. It's another guy that we got that's we're trying to get eligible to. Hopefully, the NCAA gives him a waiver. But it's some bodies that we need to add in and some bodies that we need to kind of get familiar and comfortable with. Cormac Ryan, like I said, this is his first live game, but he's going to be huge for us throughout the year. So I don't expect him to shoot awful like that again.
Yeah, some of this picked up in post-game press from Tom Izzo. I was honestly a little bit surprised to hear him say that he didn't really have very many gripes. What he saw out of Michigan State yesterday, which I guess is a little bit of a surprise. Marcus Bingham, we talked about, was kind of flying all over the place. A couple blocks, not stretching it out to the perimeter nearly as much, even though he kind of has that Kevin Durant frame. I definitely think that you have to work on. He needs to work on that lower body a little bit more. I'm not sure how much of a chance that he really had to do that because of COVID and what have you. But everybody knows you can't drive a car without wheels.
Without wheels, right.
For a guy who's pretty close to 7 feet tall and whatnot, have to step in a little bit more. We know he can shoot from outside, but it's definitely been to work on some of his interior offense a little bit more than his perimeter. Because if not, I feel like it's 5-on-4 at that point, especially if you have a 7-foot guy out there shooting the basketball and you're the tallest guy on the floor, so who's going to rebound for you? So a couple of the little tidbits. Obviously, Aaron Henry was flying around.
He was great.
Well, had a couple blocks here and there. I think lasered in offensively in terms of penetration. He can be dangerous. Especially if he's confident. I'm not sure exactly who the vocal leader is on this team, but I know that he's been taking more strides on being in that position. As you were kind of talking a little bit about Notre Dame, you mentioned a couple guys, and again, just a couple guys for me come to mind that maybe haven't been mentioned, because I always tend to like players that go there just because I don't know if it's a system thing. They seem to kind of recruit a lot of similar. It is just, it's one of those things. It's like, okay, when it's time for Wisconsin recruiting. You know what they're going to
Yeah.
do football.
No,
You know
really.
basketball.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Patriots, you know what
Yeah.
kind of going to draft. When it
Business. Yeah.
know what kind of players they're going to
Yeah.
Syracuse in that zone. Like so,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's repetition. You know what I mean? It's kind
Yeah.
of effect, and you see a lot of the same things. But there's a couple players that you didn't mention, and these were just some of my. And I just want to throw this out there.
Yeah.
On my favorite, like I think first of all that Luke Herringody had the worst body / what I feel like was kind of like coordination amongst so many
Yeah.
other things in
Yeah.
all of college basketball for the time he was there.
Easily.
Dude was a bucket
Monster.
monster on the block. What is Chris Thomas doing these days? I got to know that because that
Chris was a legend, man. Chris, man, great story about Chris, man. When that TBT tournament first happened, when they first popped it off, we were the first winners to win it, and he was the point guard, and I was the backup. I just having him around, being around CT, man, and he was to me he was the guy I love. CT, he was a McDonald's All American. He's a legend. He's back in Indianapolis, doing some stuff with high school guys, training people and coaching and stuff like that. We see each other all the time when we get back to Indy in the summer and stuff like that, helping out with basketball camp. So he's my guy. And then Luke Herringody is also like a brother to me. I see his parents sometimes when I get down to Indiana. He like you said, he was a bucket, man. He was uncoordinated. It wasn't like a real deal jump shot. It was more of a push shot. He was old school, yeah, destroying people. And I was John Stockton. He was the white Karl Malone because. In the pick and roll, we were dang near unstoppable, man. Dude, he made life easy for me. I made it easy for him. That's my guy.
That's crazy to say that because like Luke Herringody for me was essentially that dude that was like, we playing a pickup game and me and you are the captains.
Yeah,
going through through all the players.
Yeah.
He just looks like one of the last guys that's gonna be picked up. You know what I'm saying?
Gotta be last. Yeah.
But like if you knew how he played, like you would be. Oh my goodness. And I'm trying to think of somebody else. I'm definitely not trying to turn this into a Notre Dame.
No.
But I'm trying to think of another guy that reminded me so much of Luke Herringody that came in, I think, shortly after.
Jack Cooley. Jack Cooley. I already know
exactly who I was talking.
So my senior year, I think it was Fran Fraschilla or somebody. We were doing a game. Playing at Louisville. Nobody had us to win. Nobody even had us to be close. We were trying to make the tournament. Herringody's injured for a while, for a long stretch during that year. So really, people really counted us out. We go on a huge stretch like during that time, right? And the person that was starting for us at that moment was Jack Cooley. Jack Cooley looks like Herringody, same haircut as Herringody. They wore the same number dang near his hair. I think Herringody wore 44. Jack Cooley wore 45. Jack Cooley used to rebound, used to do post moves, play hard, do everything, but just he was Jack Cooley. You had Luke Herringody. I love playing with both though. To this day, I crack jokes and I still talk to Jack as well. He's doing real good overseas right now. Had his stretch in the NBA with the Kings and played well. He's a guy that's whatever you need him to do, rebound and whatnot, the dirty work, he'll do that. He'll get you the points, whatever you need him to do. I love Jack Cooley. He was a monster. He was All-American as well. So guys that don't look the part, like you said, I'm not going to pick him up. Jack Cooley looked like that. Like, I'm not picking him up. He just like a goofball. But you get on the court and he will destroy anybody you put him up against. So that was my guy.
It's crazy. Jack Cooley here and take the floor. I'm like, this is Luke Herringody in a different jersey. Like same dude. We got my dude Tory Jackson, man, joining us in the locker room right now. Former Notre Dame guard between 2006, 2010. Excuse me. We have current Hall of Famer Jackson.
I appreciate it.
From Saginaw, Michigan, man. Former Notre Dame guard from 06 to 2010. If I give him a follow on Twitter at ToryJ23, that is at ToryJ23. I want to talk a little bit about what's coming up next for these teams all play on yesterday. Now, let's start off first with Michigan State.
Yeah.
Michigan State got a big time game coming up. what other way could you possibly open up the month of December in 2020 than to be going on the road, playing in Cameron Indoor Stadium with
Man,
fans?
man,
Okay, in the State Farm Champions Classic.
yeah,
Kind of anticipate that going? I don't know how much Duke you've seen or how much Duke you've heard with a lot of new players. Obviously, that's
yeah,
the days. But how do you kind of anticipate that going? What things do you think kind of works in Michigan State's favor, or things that like they need to do in order to secure a win? Because I think in the last 12 meetings or 13 meetings, Michigan State has won. I think Tom Izzo is like 2-11 or something.
yeah.
Coach K. So what do you anticipate seeing next early part of next week?
I think he needs to take advantage of the guard play with giving Rocket those kind of minutes going against Duke. I don't think and Foster Loyer is a great guy, great person, great player, hell of a high school career. Um, I don't think his going against Duke, I don't think he can give them that firepower. I think he will help them out making shots. But you're going to need a dog going in there, fans or no fans. You're going to need a dog going up against those guys at Duke. Coach K, Coach Bray was on Coach K's staff, so a lot of things that he has as far as offensive sets, execution, taking care of the ball. Coach K is that. He has some good guys. The kid that's a freshman right now that's really good that I like is the Johnson kid, Jalen Johnson, I believe his name is. I think he has a mismatch against state bigs because you probably have to put a guy like Aaron Henry or somebody like that on him, or he's going to destroy the Hauser kid or even Bingham because guarding on the wing, Jalen Johnson can do everything. He can make shots. Very athletic, gets to the rebound, gets to the glass. I think he had about 19 rebounds the other night too. So he's a tough kid, tough freshman. He's going to be a matchup problem. But if State's going to win, they're going to have to take care of the ball. They're going to have to push the tempo, and they're going to have to play pressure defense. Use their size to their advantage as far as forcing guys into that, or tunneling guys into Bingham, tunneling guys into taking tough contested jump shots over those large bigs. You get them to do that, and you rebound and you push it. State can blow this thing wide open. But if they in a half court set, Jalen Johnson, I think, will abuse their bigs, and it could be over. It could be tough for State. I think State wins. I think they come up with the upset. Izzo's due for one. And I think the X factor will probably be somebody like Aaron Harry or even Gabe Brown, who's going to make shots. Somebody's going to help make shots.
Yeah, just a couple with saying that. Jalen Johnson, who you were just mentioning, obviously a freshman,
Yeah.
19 points, 19 rebounds, and a 10-point win on yesterday over Coppin State. One of
Yeah.
the bright spots for that team.
Yeah.
Got a guy, they've got a couple, Williams up front who
Yeah.
really good, not getting maybe the credit that I think he deserves because everybody's talking about Johnson
Yeah.
and the point guard whose name is slipping me right now. But outside of that, Jamin Brakefield is really good. I mean, they've got a really good class,
For
obviously,
sure.
for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But, when I'm just sitting back looking at this matchup, I thought what was a concern for me was more so seeing in the starting lineup. I'm trying to be, I'm, I'm trying to be as politically correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Just being honest. I
Yeah.
feel like when you're starting Thomas Kithier,
Get there. Oh yeah.
and you're starting Joey Hauser,
Yeah.
and I typically call him fraudster lawyer, but I said I
Yeah.
would call him fraud. My mama said if you don't have nice things to say about all, but no, but in those regards, and that's just a fun little joke. But
Yeah.
I will say that I think you're spot on.
Yeah.
We're talking about guys like Rocket. That's another thing Izzo said that he needs to really work on having more than just one speed. It seems like
Yeah.
it is fast, like
That's
Westbrook.
it.
most. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
all he knows is push.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he kind of needs to work on that a little bit. But and sometimes I'm even kind of curious, like what's going through his mind sometimes.
Oh
Not,
man.
but look, not in a bad way.
No. No.
I just sometimes Rocket is one of those people on the team that I just be feeling like I'm just curious. What
Yeah.
when he's out there, because it looks like he's in a different place than everybody else is to me.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just the mentality of a point guard that you have to have. Now, flipping over now to Notre Dame and the hefty schedule they got coming up. So I think it's starting out the gate, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think the next five goes from Tennessee, Ohio State, Duke,
Duke.
Kentucky, and
Carolina, I think. Syracuse. Yeah. Syracuse. Yep.
Purdue, and then Syracuse, and
Yeah.
then yeah, it's like
Yeah.
then
Nonstop.
like what do you playing for Coach Bray? Like, how do you think that scheduling like this is gonna benefit the team this year?
It can either make you or break you. To me, I think it'll make you. I think it'll give you confidence. Especially after what you just did the other night. I understand it might have been a blowout during the game, but they fought to get it within 10. You take that momentum riding into the next game. Their next game isn't a pushover. They have Western Michigan, I believe, that they have to host at home before they go into that crazy stretch. And Western's not a pushover. Their point guard B artist is really good. I've seen him a little bit, had him in an All-Star game one time. Smart guard, very crafty, decent defender, long, quick. And they have a really good post player, athletic big who can block shots, alter shots, rebound, and can score down low. So that won't be a pushover. We have to come out and play and make shots. But you got to ride that momentum you from at the end of that game against State, ride the momentum into this game on Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe. You ride that, and then you kind of go with it, go with the flow. I would love to have been on this team going against the guys that they're going to be facing against the Dukes in that stretch. I would have loved to have been a part of that because, to me, I love being an underdog. They're the underdog. Nobody expects them to win. They expect them to go 0-8 and during this stretch. Some people, they love their offense. They love how they play, but they expect them to compete but lose a close one. I would love to be part of that because as hard as I went on the court, practices would be fun. Practices were better because I knew what we had coming up. So I'm challenging guys in practice, pushing guys in practice, going hard, making and dang near causing a fight to where now we're going that hard in practice. Come game time, it's easy. I don't care who we're going against because we had already worked so hard and pushed each other in practice. We carry that over to a game and we destroy anybody as the underdogs. And we had that type of mentality, especially like my sophomore year. Rob Kurtz. I had a couple guys, Kyle McInerney, that was able to make shots. Those guys, kind of having them on my team during my sophomore year, upsetting, some big teams, and finishing top in the Big East that year, top 3, top 4 in the Big East, was unheard of for a Notre Dame basketball team. It was unheard of at the time. So I think these guys during this stretch against these big teams, these blue bloods with Duke, Virginia just took an upset. We have to understand, yeah, they may have that name, but shoot, we come into play. All you gotta do is execute, take care of the ball. Against Virginia, they don't score as much. So as long as you take care of the ball and make shots, you give yourself a chance to win those games. Against Duke, Coach Bray is is one of the very few assistant coaches that was under Coach K.
That beat
To beat them and have dang near a really good record against them. So it's guys, you take that type of motivation, that positive energy into these type of games. We've done it before, so you just got to ride it. Princeton's an older guy, so I believe they will lean on him to, for that. Durham, you lean on these older guys. These young guys lean on these older guys to kind of carry them through these next 5-6 game stretch. So it should be interesting. Like I said, it make you break you.
TJ, I don't want to hold you longer, man, because I told you this is going to be about 20 minutes. Most people know. They probably. I'm surprised nobody texts you either. Tom Noy or somebody who's like, oh,
Yeah.
20 minutes, bro. If you start talking basketball with Deshaun Tate, bro, you're gonna. My apologies on that.
It's all love. It's all love.
I want to hurry up and get you out of here, but I do
Yeah.
want to something that I usually bring forward for
Okay.
every guest that comes on my podcast. Okay,
Yeah.
and it's a quick segment. It's called Quick Release.
Okay.
Essentially rapid fire. It is either A, one word answers. Feel free to elaborate a little bit if you want, or yes or no answers. Feel free to elaborate if you want, type thing. So it's just a couple questions, and feel free to answer how Tory Jackson wants to answer.
Okay.
So joining him now for the quick release segment, let me ask you this first. In that stretch after Western Michigan, again, there is Ohio State,
Mm-hmm.
Duke, Kentucky, Purdue, that's 5.
Sheesh.
Syracuse is 6. Virginia is 7. Of those 7,
Woo.
what do you predict the record will be for Notre Dame? Not what you want it to be, but
Yeah.
really think it will be.
In that stretch, 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
In that stretch.
The toughest environment that you've ever had to play in when you were at Notre Dame.
Toughest environment was Syracuse. Or yeah, Syracuse. Easy.
Okay. Did you get a chance to play at that time? I don't remember if Notre Dame was in the ACC quite yet. Did you get a
No.
chance to play at Cameron Indoor?
Nope, never did. No, they got in the ACC maybe a year or two after I left.
Okay, so the Carrier Dome then.
Carried it. Yeah, 30,000 in the football field. Dang near impossible to hit.
What is the craziest thing that a fan or anything remotely close to someone like that said to you during or after or before a game?
Maybe during the game, I couldn't see. I got poked in the eye, and it was just one of our fans, but they were just yelling out I was a warrior. I didn't know who was saying it at the time, but I could just continue hearing them yelling, "Yo, you're a warrior! You're a warrior!" Hey, I'm completely eye closed, playing against the team to beat, and we ended up beating those guys. So I will remember that moment for a while. My dad, my parents. They both were scared. They were scared for me. But playing in that game with one eye to get that win was easily the most memorable moment. Hearing that fan continue to tell me I was a warrior.
The biggest the upset in terms of a win that you've ever been a part of at Notre Dame.
Alabama. I talk about that a lot. I was only a freshman at the time too, but Russell Carter, Colin Falls, Kyle McInerney, all three had a huge game. And I came in and playing against Ron Steele, who was one of the best point guards in the college basketball at the time. Playing against those guys, my favorite moment, biggest upset.
My last question for you. Oh, no, not do last question. Go through about 2 or 3 more.
Okay.
Do you think that we'll see Imani Bates in a Michigan State uniform ever?
No, I think the NBA will change the rule by the time he's a senior.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go with where does Notre Dame finish this year in conference play, and do they make the NCAA tournament?
Finish 8th, 7th or 8th. I'll say middle of the pack, 7th or 8th, and they do make the tournament. They will make the tournament.
Okay. In terms of the guys that got drafted in the top 3 between Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, and James Wiseman, who's going to be the best pro?
The best pro, I think, will be LaMelo. I think he will have the most freedom. Anthony Edwards has a lot to live up to. He has to be the man right away, probably. Wiseman has the easier chance to kind of make the smoother transition. He'll get big minutes. But LaMelo for sure out of those 3 because the ball is in his hand. He's free. He's played against pros for forever. And I just think within the offense, he can go. There's no pressure on him.
Who's the player that nobody?
The player that got drafted that no one's talking about.
or just talking enough?
Yeah. Uh, I'm curious to see. Well, one, I would love to see how Vernon Carey pans out. I would love to see how he pans. Nobody really talks about him like that because he had a quiet stint at Duke. So I'm kind of curious to see how he transitions in the NBA game. But I would love to see someone like R.J. Hampton. I want to see him playing. I'm kind of intrigued to see how he will play. Would he be like a Ferguson, just a 3-and-D kind of guy, or will he be like a go-to guy in Denver? You got your main guys, but will he be a guy that can come off the bench and give them 12 points like Michael Porter did this past year? Will he give you big minutes? What will he give you? So to I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens. Kind of intrigued with him.
Yeah, RJ Hampton, my biggest steal on the draft
Yeah,
board.
yeah,
I like that kid a lot. I remember
I
seeing him
did too.
on the circuit. Him and Jalen Jackson,
Oh,
Jalen.
Judge Johnson. Yeah,
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 I remember checking that one out. And um, even just talking about Vernon Carey, man, dude looks
yeah.
like a different person after dropping somewhere around like 30 pounds.
Looks ridiculous. Yeah.
So good for him. My last question is, who wins the national championship for college football?
Ooh,
College
that's
football national champion.
college football. I can't go against my boys. I feel like we the most complete football team in college, man. A lot of people wondering what happens. You see Trevor comes back and have a ridiculous game for Clemson. So they're wondering, oh yeah, ND lost because of him. No, the backup quarterback is ridiculous. He's insane for Clemson. So I don't think it's offensively that gave us a problem. Their defense, they returned some guys. So I think if we handled them in the playoff in that ACC tournament, I think we or in the ACC championship, I think we take care of business in the playoffs. I think they prepared us for the guys that we'll play against. Alabama may be the toughest out, obviously, because they put some stuff together, but I don't think Mac Jones was seeing the pressure of what our guys got, and our running game is ridiculous. So it makes the game easier for Ian Book. So I'm going Notre Dame for sure, but if Notre Dame doesn't win, I believe Alabama will.
I'm still waiting for Notre Dame gonna come up out of there and actually join a conference for football one of these
No,
days.
no, that
That's a whole,
money that we ain't
that's a
leaving
whole
that.
nother conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
I was living in Georgia. While I've been living in Georgia 15 years, I can't think of his name. He was a running back, Darius
Oh man, I know who you're talking about too.
Jackson. No, maybe it was
No, no,
Darius.
I know who you're talking about too.
He was a
I know who
terrible
you're talking about.
monster too. He just
Yeah,
popped up on me, and I just thought about it. He was talking about Notre Dame football. Man, Tory
he's very
Jackson
Walker.
passed the quick release, bro.
Yeah,
I appreciate you for. I really do, man. I sincerely mean this. I
man.
appreciate you joining us. I know me and you've been texting quite a bit,
Yeah,
back and forth, and trying to put this thing together,
yeah,
man. But I'm so happy that you had a chance to join me, and best of luck to you, man, in your future endeavors, and hoping
yeah.
you're doing well, man, and just enjoying
Thank
the weekend and happy holidays and the whole
you.
nine to you.
Yeah,
That is Tory Jackson, man. Again, former Notre Dame guard from 2006 to 2010 and Hall of Famer. Find him on Twitter at ToryJ23 at ToryJ23. Appreciate you, TJ.
appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, Deshaun. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course, absolutely, no doubt. That was my dude, man, and I'm so glad that he had the opportunity to join us, man, because bringing him on to kind of talk about what we saw from Michigan State and what we saw from Notre Dame, and picking his brain and taking it all the way back to our conversations in high school, and taking it back to our to his time rather at Notre Dame, and just some of those players, and just going just the whole thing just all throughout, man. I'm really happy to have him be a part of the show. And so, in conclusion, we're probably going to run this show again and try and recap maybe the Duke and Michigan State, Kansas, Kentucky game. Kentucky took a loss today, number 10 ranked to Richmond. I think somebody might have told y'all to make sure you taking Richmond. Villanova went down on, what was that, yesterday? They were ranked number 3 in the country. They fell earlier this week. Virginia fell to San Francisco. They were ranked number 4. So it's going to be a shakeup. And it looks like college basketball is starting back off, or tipping back off rather, the same way that it ended in the 1920 season, where there was no clear-cut number 1 and so many different teams were just losing, and so much uncertainty and so forth. Remember to subscribe. I can't stress it enough, to the best, the most educational, informational, and entertaining basketball content on the planet in the form of a podcast. That is Tate's Take. To everybody who has subscribed already, to everyone who's going to subscribe in the future, to everyone who listened live on Facebook and as well as on YouTube, go and leave me a review on YouTube. Feel free. Leave me 5 stars. Leave me 1 star if you feel like it's worthy of just a 1-star rating. Find it anywhere you find your favorite podcast. That's iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Red Circle, Stitcher, all of the above. And you never know who you're going to get as a guest here on Tate's Take. So thank you guys, everybody, for checking out episode number 44. And again, thanks to Tory Jackson for joining us. Until next time, I guess I'll see you guys in a minute. Peace.